Interviewing skills that we know in the media, not all of us, but some of us, can make you a better listener, which can help your interpersonal life and your business life. And this is the second of 3 videos that I'm doing about interviewing, giving away some things that we know in the media to people to use on their own. This one is going to be about the types of questions you ask. As we learned in the first video, you control the interview as the interviewer. But a lot of that control comes from the questions you ask. And you are trying to get the other person to give you some information. So let's talk about the questions not to ask first. The first type of question not to ask is a yes or no answer. If you ask a question, is it like this? Do you think this? They can answer yes or no. And the problem with that is, well, they can give you one-word answers, especially if they're being defensive. The other one is they choose to give you more information rather than the type of question pulling more information out of them. So it can, well, first of all, if they answer yes or no and you guessed wrong, you don't look that smart. The second is they can shut the interview down. So yes or no questions can be useful, but you don't want them to make the basis of your interview. You want to avoid them as much as you can. The second type of question that you don't want to ask is the "it must be like" question. And that comes into play when the interviewer tries to guess what the interview subject thinks or feels. And that's as simple as, oh, you're a football player. It must be really fun out in the field. Oh, or you're a singer. It must be wonderful to be on stage. And basically they can agree or disagree with you. And you are putting an idea before them for them to confirm or deny. So the very essence of the thought is coming from you and not the person you're trying to get information from. Now, if you ask the football player, what's it like to be out on the football field? They may say, it really hurts, or I'm nervous all the time. Or the singer, what's it like to be up on stage? They may say, I am always thinking about my technique, so I don't get a chance to enjoy it. The bottom line is, you don't know what they're going to say. When you ask them that type of question, you're putting an idea in front of them and asking them to confirm or deny it. I've already tipped what the type of question you want to ask is, and that type of question is the open-ended question. And that's because there is no place to hide in an open-ended question. Well, what is an open-ended question? It is the classic W5. Who, what, when, where, why. Why did you do that? There's no yes or no there. They have to provide an explanation for that. Or what was it like when you did that? Who was your biggest hero? So those open-ended questions are places where no one has a chance to hide. They are kind of magical. They have open they are boundless to them. And they are the magic questions that we know in the media. I'm going to give you an example of how someone used a closed-ended question to set up an open-ended question that was presented to me by John Sawatsky in an interview course that I took. Back in the 80s, there was a late-night talk show war. Chevy Chase ended up getting a talk show. It didn't last very long, and he was being interviewed by Bob Costas. And Chevy Chase was talking about how people were so critical of the show, and they didn't like it, they didn't get it. And Bob Costas asked him, did you watch the show? Which was yes. He pinned him down. That was the proper use of a closed-ended question. Yes, I watched it. Then he hit him with the open-ended question. He said, what did you think? And Chevy Chase said, I thought it was pretty awful. So you are going to get the truth in the open-ended questions, not the closed-ended questions. Here's another tip for interviewing. Listen. It's very important to listen. Don't interrupt. Listen to what they're saying and follow up. When you hear something that surprises you, follow up. Ask more about that. Tell me more about that. Sometimes the question is, what happened next? Or why was that? So listen and follow up. Now I'm going to give you one great pro tip that I have used and has led to a very quiet argument with my wife. And that is this. People are afraid, they feel awkward with silences, and they will rush to fill silences. So if you ask somebody a question and they pause, don't fill the silence. A couple things can happen. One is they could be thinking about something they've never thought about before, and you will get a great answer, something that maybe even surprises them. Or they may say something that they didn't mean to say. But the idea is, don't fill the silence, make them fill the silence. And when my wife and I got married, we both had media training, I can't even remember what the dispute was, but neither of us would fill the silence. And I don't know how long it went on. It feels like 40 minutes. But eventually one of us, and I don't remember who, said, "You're using this technique, aren't you?" And I was, "Yep." We couldn't do that anymore. So let's go over what we learned from this segment about interviewing. One, don't ask yes/no questions. Don't supply the information to the interview subject. And do ask open-ended questions. Who, what, when, where, why. They are your friends. And also, listen. It's the most important thing. Listen. And that's where you're going to find all the gold. The more you listen, the more they're going to talk. And finally, don't fill a silence. It is a powerful, dirty trick weapon, but it works.